Okay. So once again, I'm Joseph Fitzpatrick, the Associate Dean of Students of the Sam Fox School of Design and Visual Arts. I'm happy to be here with you this evening. We are, as expected, a smaller group. And so that means every question you could possibly think of is going to have a chance to get answered here. Just so you're aware, we're also recording this. So in case there's anyone who was unable to attend this evening or perhaps was interested in multiple schools, can have their questions answered at a later point. And so since we are a small group here, it's easy to manage. If you do want to unmute yourself to ask your questions, or you can go ahead and type it in the chat, whatever is easiest for you. If you're sitting there with that question, I bet someone else has that question too. So don't be shy. How about, are you all members entering Sam Fox, or are you entering other schools and perhaps interested in?
I have a question.
Okay.
I was going to type it, but then I realized I'm terribly slow at that. So,
No problem.
so what is the difficulty because I want to do the study abroad program in Florence, but I'm also considering possibly double majoring in something maybe in like the College of Arts and Sciences.
Mhm.
So like, what would be the difficulty of doing that and still doing the Florence program?
Sure. So within Sam Fox, so are you interested in architecture or art? Are you coming in as
Art.
Art, excellent. So within the art program, so first just starting with art, all students come in as the BFA in art, but there is the option to pursue either a BFA or a BA. The major difference between the Bachelor of Fine Arts and the Bachelor's of Art in the art is how many studio courses you are taking later in your program and how many electives that frees up. In the BFA, there's a fewer number of electives, and the BA, there's a larger number of electives. So a student in a BFA can do a double major and also could do minor. But many students who do a double major or extra minors will go to the BA because it frees up more opportunity to pursue other courses. The BA, as I said, in the larger group, it's not the number of credits that's the problem in Sam Fox, it's the scheduling against the studio classes, because both art and architecture have a long studio classes that can eat up big chunks of the week, and scheduling against that. So that just lays the foundation to your question then about study abroad. So within that, we have recommended semesters for both the art students and the architecture students of going, and it's usually within the junior year. So the third year is either the fall or the spring, depending on the program, when we recommend going. There is also a summer program each summer that is open to students outside of Sam Fox as well. But really, 4 majors or second majors is the primary for it. So if you wanted to double major in something else and also go abroad, what we would then really take a look at is how you're using your time outside of that semester. Because the semester that you are abroad, you're really not going to be able to work on that second major. It's going to be classes that are required for your art degree or your architecture degree if you're an architecture student. So that often happens to where then we work with the students to say, okay, what should we be taking sophomore year or the semester you're not abroad your junior year, so that we can keep you moving in both tracks. That's why planning that earlier tends to help us. So if we knew, say, the beginning of your second year what you were interested in, then we can start outlining the classes that we need. The other piece that can be a little different with some of the other schools is Sam Fox doesn't offer much in the way of summer classes, and that's because of the small studio size, the sequential order it has to happen in. But sometimes the other schools like Arts and Sciences, Olin, McKelvey offer more summer courses. So sometimes the students doing the second majors will pick up some of their courses that they need for the second major during the summer. I'm not talking a lot. It might just be a couple courses over the summer that help move you along. So there's sort of different options. We'd have to get into more particulars on your situation. But that gives you kind of a general overview of what it would be like to go study abroad while also being a second major. I also have a question in here in the chat about talking a little bit about the minors offered in the architecture. And so one of the things, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up and put it in the chat, which would be the link to the webpage where we have these. So all of the schools on their webpage will list degree information about their majors, their second majors, and their minors. And so it's always great to take a look at those so that you can get a sense what the requirements are when we were talking about. Earlier, they said that minors are often somewhere between 15 to 18 credits, and that has to do with if there's any prerequisites. So often, the minor might have 15 credits, it might be 5 classes that all make up the minor. But there might be a prerequisite in order to get into that. Now, Sam Fox tends to have fewer prerequisites. We really don't have any prerequisites in the minor. But if you're looking at a minor, say over in the Olin or engineering, there could be a prerequisite for a certain math course or a certain management course that's not part of the minor, but was required to get into those courses. So within architecture, and I put in the chat a link to our webpage that has our minors, and we have multiple minors within architecture. There's a minor in architecture itself. Then there's one in architectural history and theory, creative practice for social change, a landscape architecture minor, or an urban design minor. So each of them, there is some crossover within some of them. And so they are either 15 or 18 units, which is the architectural history and theory. And so within that, when you jump in and you do the learn more, you can see the outline of the courses. Now, the way that the minors often work is that it's like a platter that has a number of courses that fit in different categories. So the first one might be take one of these 3 classes, and then the second might be take 2 from this list of 4 classes. And so that even within the minor, while it's prescribed, it still has a little bit of flexibility in there. And sometimes, it might also say take an additional 1 or 2 upper division elective courses so that you can then also look within that to find something that you're interested in within the minor itself. So what we recommend when people express interest is to jump on the website, or we can send the link to it at any point. Always feel free to email if you're like, I can't find it. We'll get you over to the right page. Then you can take a look at what the courses are. And the thing with with minors, with double second majors, is a concept of called double dipping, or what counts multiple times. So sometimes there might be a course that you'll take as a general distribution that can also count towards a minor. And then there might be something that says you can only count a maximum of courses multiple times. So often that's something we have to keep a lookout for, and that's what the advisor helps you doing, keeping an eye on that. Because you can't count one class for multiple categories, but you might be able to count something in 2 categories. And that is then what also helps you when you're moving along. So I had another question pop up, which was, there is a question about, say, majoring in architecture and minoring in creative practice for social change. And is that allowed? The answer is yes. Yes, it is allowed. And so within architecture majors, we do have students who will choose minors within architecture, and many who will choose a minor completely outside, and some who don't choose the minor at all, but just take a collection of courses for their electives that sort of is their self-made interdisciplinary areas of interest for themselves. And all 3 of those are valid and have great responses from our students who go those different paths. But when you have a scenario, when I was talking about the double dipping, in particular, something like majoring in architecture and minoring in creative practice social change is one of those where there's probably limitations to how many courses can overlap. But that's why it usually opens it up to say, add an additional elective or 2 from an upper division course that makes sense with what you're studying. Yeah. All right, so we talked a bit about some of the minors and a little bit in architecture. What other areas of interest do we have? You may have heard at some point in, let's say, prospective student visits or those sort of things is when you're thinking about if you do want to put together second majors and minors and such is the university has what it calls sort of a rule of three. So you could have one major and two minors, or you could have a major, a second major, and one minor. And so there's a limit there. So like you can't have a major, a second major, and two minors. There's a limit there to how many an individual is allowed to package together with that. If you're just thinking about one additional, nothing for you to worry about. But if you're one of those eager types that we get, you might have to make some choices there about which ones. Any other questions hanging out there? I guess maybe I answered everything that was on your minds when it comes to combined studies. I put my email address into the chat so that if you do think of questions later, or maybe there was something very specific to your situation that you didn't want to bring up here, do feel free to email me. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have or provide you links to information that's on the website, or even connect you to a colleague in one of the other schools here who might be better able to talk about questions that you have. Also be happy to set up individual meetings if that would be useful for you at any point. But if that is all your questions, I am going to be here, happy to answer any more, but you do not need to feel obliged to continue. You could jump into one of the others if you had questions about one of the other schools as those conversations are still going on, or you can go about your evening, whatever feels comfortable to you.